Hey guys, Cameron here, back with another feature live match replay with commentary by yours truly. This is from the shop challenge that we had at King Kong. So this is BCS English Weiss, and we did 4 rounds and then cut to a top 4. We had I think 10 players in total. So I recorded all 6 rounds, except I'm only going to be doing some of them because there's a lot of mirror matches and a lot of very similar games, and so I don't want to commentate on mirror matches the whole way through. But this is round 1 from the tournament, is going to be Mushoku versus Quints. This is going to be a very common matchup that you'll see at competitive events moving forward, whether you're going to like a BCS regional or you're going to attend your own shop challenges. These are 2 premier standby decks that are quite strong in the current meta, and they both have their own unique strength and weaknesses, as well as also cards that are very similar in both decks. And the Nino Runner, showcased by the Quints player on the right, is one example of a similar card. We have the Rudias in the Mushoku deck, and then the Nino in the Quints deck. So you get some overlap with similar cards and similar profiles, but you also have very different strategies that both of them play. They play 8 standby, but they both play very differently with different kind of strong points and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Kind of the old guard of standby, which is Mushoku, has been around for a while, very dominant, and the new kind of upcoming standby deck. Now the Mushoku player here does open the Rudius PR, is able to send that Nino to the waiting room. Very fantastic play there. And also is able to play the Regierd to get the blanking on her name, Roxy. Yes, the Roxy bonder to the pendant, Midgard pendant. Yeah, so usually you would play the Regierd to get the Rudius PR. If you don't have the Rudius PR already, he has the Rudius PR, so it's able to go and get the Roxy bonder here. I think Roxy bonder here is good, especially if you already have a pendant in the waiting room. You'll be able to get that and then use the pendant to search whatever you need to search. Oh, excellent here. First card first attack triggers a standby. Now obviously you don't really want to trigger that first attack, but getting a standby here is very nice. Is able to standby out the Lilia into the back row. The Lilia is going to be key in this matchup. Just being able to hard remove the standby out targets from the Quints side, and especially the 2/2 Nino, which has hand on court and is fairly low power. So going to be able to hard remove that is going to be excellent for the Mushoku player. The 1/1 Eris can challenge the 2/2 Nino pretty fairly. Like, you know, that's definitely very reasonably. The Mushoku player does stand by the Eris in the front row. I think that is kind of risky because that was on the placement of the standby Climax, which means that, you know, if both of the Mushoku players' attacks like stuck for high amounts of damage, the Quints player could be level 1 right here, or potentially even like reheat themselves into level 1, and then would be able to challenge the Eris with a standby of their own, since the Quints standby combo allows you to attack with the standby out target immediately, which is not the case for Mushoku. So definitely, if you want to play it a little bit more safe, you would want to standby the 1/1 out to the back. Getting it out to the front right here isn't really, how do I say it? It doesn't give you a lot of advantage, because you still have 2 other units that your opponent can front into or just remove or even side into. Like the fact that the 1/1's there doesn't really actually do much defensively for you, and you put yourself at the risk of potentially getting it hard removed by a push from your opponent into level 1. But fortunately for the Mushoku player, that is not the case. The opponent is at 0-5 here and will still manage to tri-field and play a standby of its own. Now this standby for the Nino player is I say Nino player, it's Quints. It's a Quints deck, but it's mostly Nino. But the Nino standby Climax allows you to well, obviously it standbys out a card here, but it also turns all the 3/2 Ninos, the level 3 Climax combo Ninos, turns them into standby triggers when you trigger them from deck. So if he attacks here and reveals exactly that card, okay, we'll get to see them standby out another character here. Although, you know, definitely. Oh, interesting. Standbying out the... Wow, that's a little interesting. So he had the Brainstorm in the back row, which is a really good card to have there, and he stood by out a card that doesn't have an effect on the board to replace the Brainstorm. That's kind of weird. I would just not standby anything there, because I think the Brainstormer is fine. You just don't get a plus from the standby. It's fine. That's not the end of the world here. You do have to pay out that standby as well. So like the problem here by standby over the brainstorm, the unfortunate thing is that you have a standby buried at the bottom of your stock, and you need to pay stock to get that out. And your brainstormer is actually a fantastic way to pay it out because it represents 2 stock usages on 1 card, right? You can tap 2 to brainstorm, that uses 1 stock, and then you can pay 1 stock and look at top 4, that's another stock. So then you only need to find 1 way to pay 1 more stock in order to pay out the climax. So you can play like a 1/1 from hand or something like that, and then you get the climax out, which is like fantastic, right? So the fact that you got rid of the standby for a card that doesn't do anything on board is a little bit, it's not great. You know, I don't think that standby was necessary. You know, just leave the brainstorm. It's good. All right, so plays the Roxy, brainstorms, misses, plays the Roxy to bond to the pendant, and yep, will bond, has the target, I believe, and not using okay, not playing another Eris here, it seems, or is he gonna search for one? All right, plays pendant. So he does have a what do you call it? He does have a climax stuck at the bottom of his stock. Both players do actually. First card triggered a stamp. Oh, actually, wait, hold up. The Quince player didn't have a standby climax. It was the Nino. It was the 3/2 Nino at the bottom of the stock. I mean, you still want to pay it out though, because that card is just really good. You don't want it to stuck in your stock, ideally, because that's also your level 3 combo. You do want to aggressively pay out even the 3/2 Ninos that you trigger, so you can get them back into your deck. They are effectively standby climaxes that you can trigger in the future. So, but yeah, the Mushoku player will want to pay out the climax. That is an actual climax on their side of the board. So let's see if he has a way to pay it out. Actually, if he has the climax, what he can do here is he can play the 1/1 Eris from hand, and then he can use the twin drive of, oh, interesting. Playing over the Lilia. That's interesting. I would not play over the Lilia, I think. I mean, Lilia's just good, and it has an effect on the board. Meanwhile, this Roxy doesn't have an effect on the board, and is just standing in the back row right now, like doing nothing. So definitely would keep the Lilia instead of the Roxy. It's just a better card to keep on the board. Will definitely come into play later. You get removing the, okay, he's getting back the Lilia. Interesting. He could just skip the Lilia and then salvage something else here. So yeah, that is kind of interesting. Also, yeah, not blocking off the what do you call it? Not blocking off the Nino runner with the 1/1 Erises. I think the Nino only runs the center. Oh, I guess he's gonna stand by over the Lilia anyways with the 2/2 Ghislaine. Wait, I thought he triggered a standby at first attack. Did he not trigger first attack? Was it second attack? I actually can't remember anymore. Because he paid out a standby, but I don't think he triggered 2 standbys. I thought he only triggered 1. So, must have been second attack then. I must just be misremembering here. But yeah, so doesn't properly box up the Nino runner. Gets to Quince player does get to keep the Nino alive, but correct attack order for sure. Attacking with your smaller thing first, so then you can stand by out a larger thing afterwards on top of it. Excellent play there. Stand by out the 2/2 in the center slot. So now the Quince player has the Mushoku player has a huge board, and also properly giving the twin drive on the last attacker, so you can pay out any climaxes triggered. That's very good play right there. As you can see now, his stock is clean, I think, and has an excellent board here. This is a very difficult board to attack into, even for the Quince player, who can, attack with their 2/2 immediately and challenge one lane, but that is from the climax placement, and you won't be able to attack with another 2/2 on another lane, so you're going to be losing lanes here, definitely, against the Mushoku player. So this is kind of the way that Mushoku deals with the Quince in the matchup. So Quince can challenge one lane easily with the 2/2 combo, but their other lanes will likely lose because they are smaller power than the Mushoku lanes, which have the Ghislaine 2/2 to back up with additional power. The Quince standby deck doesn't really run counters and global power effects, so their 1/1 is just a 7/5 if you're playing the 1/1 7/5, and if you're playing the other 1/1, the blue one, it's even less power. So you'll be losing lanes to Mushoku's board if they are able to set up multiple lanes of 1/1s or better. As you can see in this case, we are going to be losing potentially 2 lanes. Although I think the Quince player is getting some pretty good cards here. He's grabbing the, I think that's her name's Itsuki. Yeah, Itsuki, the Itsuki back row you can tap her to give a character, I think 500 power and additional clock kick on that card. I think it's 500 power. It might be, I'm pretty sure it's 500. And it's also pay 2, tap it to search a card, I think. Search or salvage. But yeah, that card's really, really good. Again, very similar to the Lilia that the Mushoku player is playing. So in this regard, we have cards that are very similar on in both decks, right? We have a back row that can be rested to give hard removal to a character. In Quinn's case, it is a clock, and then in the Mushoku case, it is to stalk. Okay, but chooses not to play the back row quite yet. Just has the 0/0s in the back. So like I said, he stood back last turn. You know, standby out one of these 0/0 Ninos. It didn't really do much, and then now, yeah, you can't brainstorm, can't really pop it to play the new back row out, which would be really good here. So a little awkward for sure. Just a little awkward on the Quinn's player side. Could have either the brainstorm or the Itsuki back row on stage right now, if they kept the brainstormer. But just attacking here, yeah. So we'll crash the middle and the left lane, I believe. I don't think the middle sided, so that should be reversed. Fronts with the last lane, and we'll, what do you call it? We'll win that lane for sure. And chooses the hand encore here. That is interesting. You can't protect that. I don't know if hand encoring here is the right play, because the 1/1 is just gonna die immediately. Yeah, I would not hand encore here. So yeah, chooses to let it die. That's correct. Right. If you hand encore here, you lose the hand right now, and then when you inevitably get it reversed again because you have no way to protect it against that 2/2, you're gonna get it reversed again. So not hand encoring, definitely the right choice here. Things are looking really good for the Mushoku player. There's a very solid board state here, two 2/2s and a 1/1 that basically unchallenged. Even though he's behind in damage, he can definitely make it up this turn. Doesn't need a clock, so can definitely keep the 1/6 clock compression. Pretty good. His hand is decent. Doesn't even need to play a card if he doesn't want to. If there's a standby in the deck, he can choose a brainstorm. That's not bad. If there's a climax, yeah. If there's a climax in the deck, you can either chance the 66 that is on the top 2 and trigger it to get a card in the back, or you could just brainstorm it out. That way you guarantee, even if it's on the bottom, you can get the plus. And even though the climax doesn't go back in, you do get to mill a few extra cards along with it. And because it is at the 1/6 point, you get a much bigger pool of cards to salvage from. Because it's salvage brainstorm, but you level up first. So that's definitely really nice. Using the new refresh timing to your advantage here. Excellent play. Probably getting the... I would probably get the counter here. Either the counter or the 3/2. Yeah, I think 3/2 is fine, but the counter is definitely better here. Well, chooses not to get the counter. I thought there was a counter, but yeah. I would have definitely gotten the counter. Counter is really strong here. But yeah, and then also uses the pendant here to get the plus of the search 1. On the new deck, especially really good. You can get basically anything you want here. You know, the world is your oyster, or at least the deck is your oyster this time. Yeah, excellent commanding position from the Mushoku player. Searching for a bonder to the event. Okay, I see the line. You can bond to the event again. Use the event to further compress your new deck, and also potentially even discard a target that you want to standby out, assuming that you only have the target in hand and not in the waiting room here. And I think I looked at the waiting room earlier. It didn't really have any good standby targets, so using the bonder to fuel your waiting room with good standby targets from hand is definitely a good play here. So let's see if that's what our Mushoku player is going to do here. But yeah, I would... Oh, nope, going for the Lilia. Ah, yes, that's right. He did salvage the Lilia here. Excellent play. Very heads up. Now it gets to hard remove the 2/2 from the board. Yeah, Quince is not going to be able to keep that around. That's very good. And still uses the standby here. Interestingly, decides to standby before milling. I mean, I think you would always just mill before standby. There's really no point to that unless the card that you want to salvage is a Lilia. Ah! Excellent. Okay. I see the play. That's a good play. Right, so getting the Lilia back. Standbying over the Lilia and then getting it back just in case he needs it for the following turn. I'm down with it. I don't know if it's entirely necessary, but I guess the Quints player will probably have another turn at 2, so seems pretty good. And wow, nice, takes the 3, and the twin drive will be activated here. Yep, using the twin drive effect. Hopefully not triggering another. Oh, yikes. Yeah, triggering a lot of climaxes here. Unfortunate for the Mushoku player, because you definitely want your climaxes in your deck to be canceling here and just to win the damage race. But as long as good cancel on the Quint side, and unfortunately we'll have to bury that climax a little bit. It's gonna have to pay 2 the next turn to pay it out. That being said, still a very good position for the Mushoku player here. Good amount of resources. It's like 6 stock, full hand, and very, very strong board. Hard removes the Nino. Oh, but does pay out the 3-2 Nino that was triggered the first turn. That's kind of funny. But yeah, definitely very commanding position. One thing that's missing again from the Mushoku player's side is if he salvaged the 2-1 counter that would be in his hand currently, and would definitely allow him to really stymie any kind of offensive push from Quints. Quints at level 2 is especially scary because you can start standbying out the 3-2 Ichika back row. Whenever a character comes into play from your waiting room, you can give a soul up to 3 times per turn. So that really changes kind of the dynamic that Quints can do at level 2. Quints can push out a lot more soul damage than a lot of people expect because of that 3-2 Ichika back row. So yeah, especially in cases like this where the Mushoku player did trigger a lot of climaxes here. So yeah, with that Ichika back row, potentially they could do a lot of damage. Ooh, using the Salvager to grab the Shuffle back 2 and the Bounce back. Okay, this is an excellent play here. This is a play you'll see a lot from a lot of Quints players. They'll be doing this every single game, and it's super powerful. It's super obnoxious. So Quints player has 2 cards left in deck, I believe. It looks like 2 cards. They're gonna shuffle back 2 of the 3-2 Ninos, so now they have 4 cards left in deck. Then they're gonna play the 3-2 Nino combo Climax, and what that means is whenever they trigger the 3-2 Nino, it will act like a standby. So they went from 2 cards in deck, which means that whatever standby they play is going to not go back into their deck, to 4 cards, which means that whatever climax they play now does go back into their deck, and they shuffle 2 triggers that are effectively standbys, but they're not climaxes, back into their deck. So they'll trigger those, right? And then standby out cards, which is really, really good. The climax goes back in, and then the following turn, the 3-2 Ninos are going to be in stock. So if you use anything to just pay those out, you'll have your waiting room set up to have 3-2 Ninos that you can standby out. It's such a powerful combo, especially at low deck state, and it's one of the reasons why the Ichika Brainstormer is so good, because that Brainstormer can mill between 5 and 9 cards from your deck, and you can choose how much, right? Minimum, actually, I guess it mills anything between 0 and 9, right? You don't have to use the Brainstorm effect. So if you don't use the Brainstorm effect, you can mill between 0 and 4 cards. If you do use the Brainstorm effect, you can mill between 5 and 9 cards. You can use Brainstorm and use the top check 4. So yeah, basically, if you're anywhere in the range of like 11 cards left in your deck, you can get to this state of 2 cards left in your deck. You play the shuffle back, and you get this whole thing. And now, as we can see, we have the 3-2 back row, and then we trigger the 3-2 Nino climax. We standby out another back row, and we can assign soul. So this is going attack for 2 soul, and then the 3-2 can assign an additional soul. And yeah, it looks like it's assigning it to the center. Very, very strong. So now that center slot is going to also be attacking for 2 soul here. Very, very good. Did kind of make a misplay because forgot to bounce back with the bounce backer. I just realized that. That's pretty funny. Definitely -1 there, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I think he also probably realized that he made the mistake. But yeah, it does get to standby out another card here, probably to the center. You're gonna want to standby out. Ideally, there is a 3-2 Nino I think it's like global 1/5 to your entire stage. I don't know if he has it in his waiting room, but that's your ideal standby target here. Otherwise, you can just standby out like a 3-2 Nino finisher. It's definitely still a good card. Not as big as you would like it, but in front of the back row Ichika, it's still pretty big. So yeah, it's gonna stand by it out. Oh, not there. You're gonna lose the attack there. Okay, good. Yeah, stand by out in the center for 3, and oh, he's gonna anti-change. Ooh, interesting. Anti-changing the back row here. Okay. I think that's not a bad play. Yeah, definitely getting rid of the back row so that they can't kind of develop off of that. But the problem here, I would have definitely anti-changed the changer instead. That back row is really good, don't get me wrong, but the changer allows him to change into anything from his hand, including the back row. And then if you change into the back row, then they'll get the heal from it, right? If you stand by out the back row, you don't get the heal, but if you use the 3-2 changer and change into the back row, you get the heal, which is very, very strong. That changer, that Ichikeep changer that the Quince player still has in their back row is super strong card. I would prioritize remove that above anything else. That card feels very unfair when you play against it. But yeah, anyways, does hard remove something though, which is really good. And then on this turn, I think basically anything that has a level 2 on his board can remove the 3-2 Nino, and the Nino does not have any protection, so really good from the Mushoku player. We'll get potentially a lot of damage here, and hard remove basically his opponent's entire board, and we'll see what the Quince player can do from here. It's not going to be a lot. Low on resources here. Yeah, triggered 2 standbys, but lost basically his entire board. It's a little unfortunate. Did have the misplay with the bounce back though. He could have one more card in his hand if he remembered to use the bounce back. A little unfortunate here. As the Mushoku player, I think you might have a if you don't have a lot of climaxes left in your deck, I would find a way to mill here. That's definitely your priority. Also, kind of unfortunate. He got rid of like a lot of his back row, so he doesn't have a brainstorm anymore. One of the things with Mushoku as a kind of like playing the deck is that you don't really have good mill options at a lot of stages of the game. So sometimes it's good to not standby out a bunch of 2/2s if you don't need to, and then just keep at least one utility card for cases like this where that's not good. You definitely don't want to trigger standbys at this point in the game. It's just a little too, how do you say it? It's too late. Yeah, you definitely want to trigger them early, not late. But yeah, so that's unfortunate. Triggering 2 standbys here. Oh wow. Oh, damage does stick though. Okay, that's positive. Quince player is going to be at level 3 with a lot of stock, but not very many other resources, and behind basically 4 damage. However, that 4 damage could be made up by this deck state of the Mushoku player just not having many climaxes left in their deck. Does decide to 3-stock the Nino. I think that's definitely the right choice because they have an abundance of stock and not that much hand, so that's pretty good. And again, this is where I think if the Mushoku player just had the opportunity to salvage the rest counter, and I think the rest counter is so important in this matchup, just really denying advantageous attacks from the Quince player. You know, whatever they're trying to hard remove from your board, you can just deny that. When they go into their climax combo turn, you can deny that. It just denies so much and basically costs you nothing as the Mushoku player. You don't need your stock pretty much in this deck. You can standby out your entire endgame. So yeah, definitely would have liked to see the high priority on the rest counter, and also just forcing your opponent to kind of have to play around it is very it just does not feel good as the Quince player to have to play around this rest counter that potentially just wins a lane and also neuters another, right? But anyways, that's neither here nor there, and Quince player is going to be looking to potentially triple play here. So this is one of the beauties of that changer. Quince player has 3 stock, but can play 2 more level 3s here by using the changer to get 1 from his hand, and then also hard playing another one. So that changer is just so good, and you can pay 2 to just burn 1 with that changer. It's like, okay, yeah, if you have an abundance of stock, it just becomes damage. Oh, that changer is so good. Yeah, I think as far as finishers go, Quince finisher definitely way better than the Mushoku finisher. Mushoku finisher burns 2, but and is harder to interact with, which is the good part. And is but like the Quince burn is less stock resources, which is really good, and also burns for higher amounts. And with the changer, you can also burn 1 and burn 3, have like different iterations of burn. And also you have a lot of players play the Icy Tail as well. One copy of the Icy Tail, you get a lot of different types of burn and interaction with your opponent, whereas Mushoku basically just has the burn 2. You burn 2 and that's it. I will say that what do you call it? Okay, so changes into the Nino, the other Nino. So this Nino is pretty interesting. I think a lot of players play either 1 or none. I do think 1 is correct. I like seeing it at 1 of copy, just because like there's just some times where you want to see it on the board. I think it's global 1/5 to your board if it's in the front row. And then when you play a Climax with a standby trigger, you get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You can rearrange them, and then you can choose one of your other Quince characters, and when that attacks, you can look at the top 2 and rearrange them again. So basically, it gives you knowledge of the first 2 triggers that you're going to do. It allows you to reorder them, and you give it to your last attack, and that attacker gets to look at the top 2 and rearrange them. Or not rearrange them, but they can choose their trigger. The other one goes to the waiting room. Alright, but I think the Quince player just doesn't do anything here, but it's just fine. Alright, he's going to attack here. It's going to be under after the counter. And it's going to do 3 damage, but no cancel. I mean, it's really good because he's attacking there first. He knows his opponent has triggered 2 climaxes, so this is definitely not likely to cancel. And just attacking on the pulse swing, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Mushoku player is behind, but that was 5 clean in deck. That, man, if he had the brainstorming, he would have been able to mill through that pretty well. Yeah, and I definitely would have brainstormed if I was the Mushoku player. If I was in his position and I had the option to brainstorm, I would be brainstorming. Okay, so but that does get a pop-up pendant here, which is kind of like the silver lining of the situation. Does get to remove 1 clean card from their deck. Probably a 3/2. I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't get a 3. Ooh! Goes for the rest counter here? I actually don't think so. If you use a rest counter here, you get rid of your entire stock. You can't play anything the following turn. Yeah, definitely going for a 3/2 here. You're not likely to be dead. I mean, there's still a chance, but it's not very likely. And then 3/2 heals you down and goes for the finishing turn, which you can reasonably expect to get. Right, your opponent's at 3-0, and you know, you can reasonably expect to be able to kill him. Especially if that canceled and then he hit the mill, then yeah, definitely would have been really strong. Alright, so attacking here, I agree. Probably a front attack here as well. Ooh, a standby. You can standby something onto the center slot. It's kind of nice. I think you either standby out the healer or the changer. Anything really works here. Anything that's like a level 3. You just get some bodies on the board. They're going to die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, use the effect. Pay 1, ditch a card. Man, the Quince player really low on resources here. Just checking up, it's a burn 3. Ooh, cancels, very, very nice. If he cancels this, he's in a really good spot for 2 damage. Did he remember to assign a soul? Oh, he did remember to assign a soul. Okay, yeah, I think he assigned the soul to the Nino. Well, actually, I think he might have forgotten to assign soul. Oh, whatever. A little unfortunate. I guess they're calculating power here. Yeah, I think the Ghislaine is huge, right? It's like, what was it 10, 11, 12, 13, 5? Yeah, that Ghislaine is gigantic. All right, well, Mushoku player basically has to go for game here. It's not going to survive from 3, yeah, not from 3-6, 3-5. Even if he heals down a little bit, it's definitely not enough. So if he can draw the climax and play a number of Ghislaines, he can play 2 Ghislaines, and hope that's enough. Yeah, I mean, just play 2 Ghislaines over your existing Ghislaines. I mean, you can leave one of the 2/2 in the back row. Yeah, you can play 2 and just hope that's enough to win the game. Yeah, but unfortunate with those late climax triggers. I think that's like one of the things with standby that's really unfortunate compared to... I mean, every deck loses if they trigger a bunch of climaxes right before the finishing turn, but standby especially, like, if they... Because, like, it doesn't go to hand, right? Like, some decks, if you trigger, like, choice and stuff like that, you can get stock, and that helps you get more resources for the final turn. But if your board's already... If you're winning already as a standby player and you trigger more standbys, it's not doing anything for you, and it leaves you like very susceptible to... Oh, uses the Ares to burn one, so it does not have the standby climax here. Ooh, that's gonna be rough. I wasn't able to get the standby climax. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, these attacks can't be countered. So this is the correct order. You attack with the ones that can't be countered, so you can't use the event, the 3-2 event. Oh no, that's a standby. That's the one you wanted in your hand, but couldn't get it. But this is well, this is not lethal. The extra damage actually it's kind of bad here. Not gonna lie, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, yeah, just like stand by something on the back row. It doesn't really matter here. It does give the twin drive to Paul. Actually, pretty good. I would give the twin drive to Paul here, and then so that if this cancels, then you can twin drive and potentially. Okay, yeah, you don't twin drive here at all. It's just 3-6. Okay. I guess you just hope it sticks. It's direct for 3, and hope you don't trigger. Yeah. Oh, you triggered. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, the cancel on 3. I mean, he wasn't gonna take that anyways. Oh, that's pretty tragic actually. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Any two like a 1 soul swing would have worked. Direct for 1, and I mean he just has to stick 3 damage here after a double trigger. Definitely not too difficult for the Mushoku player, or not for the Quints player. Has 4 cards left in deck, so he gets to attack 3 times. No fear of dying. 1 card in hand. 1 card and a dream. Can the Mushoku player cancel? Oh, that's a 2 soul swing. That's a 2 soul swing. Wait, that's big. Wait, I would definitely stand by out the 2 soul at the far. Wait, no. Wait. If you, oh, this is kind of weird. Okay, I would definitely stand by a 2-2 in the front row, in front of the Ghislaine here. But you want the 1 soul swing against Paul because that's highly likely to not cancel. To not cancel, because you don't want him to cancel. If he cancels the Paul swing, you're dead. You're absolutely dead. So you don't want Paul to cancel. Okay, yeah. So you want to attack Paul last, but I think you would attack with a 2-2 here. Oh, hits a trigger. Ooh, that's game. Oh my goodness, the Mushoku player lost because of the double trigger. That's crazy. Mushoku was in a commanding position the entire game, and then just. Wow, the most unfortunate triggers at the end. Back-to-back double triggers on the last 2 turns. Climax is refusing to stay in deck. That's very unfortunate. Wow, I think both players played pretty well. Definitely some major misplays, I would say, for the Quints player. Some just like random minuses. They chose the -1 pretty early. They chose the -1 when they didn't bounce back the Nino, and then also choosing to get rid of a Ishika Brainstormer, which was also like kind of strange there. Or not a hard minus, but definitely made their following turn a lot more difficult. Wasn't able to use the Brainstormer effect, but did have a very strong turn with the Nino Climax and the 2 cards left in deck. I think anytime a Quints player can get that turn is like very, very powerful. A Mushoku player didn't prioritize rest counter early or at level 2, but everything else played really well. You know, used the Lilia to amazing advantage. Just hard denied the Quints board like basically the entire game, and more or less just got kind of just lost to triggering a lot of climaxes. So I think for the Mushoku player, he played very well, but I think basically at that point when you're already winning a lot, you don't need to win more. You just need to make sure you lose less, right? So maybe keeping a Brainstormer around on the back just so you can mill out of your deck, or just prioritizing the rest counter a little earlier so that you can, you know, prevent your opponent from doing a lot of damage on the turn that you're vulnerable. I think is definitely something to consider. I would probably have prioritized using the rest counter over the anti-change counter in that situation, because all you need to worry about is just not taking damage, right? If you anti-change but you still take damage, then you're going to be losing. So rest counter there is definitely very powerful. You keep your board, you also deny damage, you deny stock. It's just a fantastic counter in that situation where you're already winning. But that's going to be it for this round. This is round 1, so the Quints player does move on as a 1-0, and the Mushoku player will have a chance to redeem themselves through the rest of the tournament. Once again, I won't be providing commentary for every single round because there's a lot of Mushoku, a lot of Quints, a lot of mirror matches. So I will be selecting some of the games that I did think were really good, and I will definitely show the final game. So yeah, look forward to some more commentary matches on this channel. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. More videos will be coming your way. If you have any questions, comments, or any kind of feedback, just let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate it. And that's it for this time. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.